Thanks for getting back into bed with us on week 2 of Bed Talk. Glad you stuck around for a second week.
Yeah, second week when we finally picked up our R1S. And I say finally because it's been a week since we ordered it.
I was just going to say finally. What do you mean? It hasn't even been long.
So long.
No, honestly, the process was so quick. I don't really know how this compares to other companies, obviously, because like I said last week, Rivian isn't a standard dealership where you go, the car is there, you leave with it off the lot the same day.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how these like made to order boutique vendors, if you will, like I don't know how many there are like this, but I think a week turnaround time or a week and a half in our case is pretty good.
Oh, it's really fast. I know of people that have gotten it next day, and that's an extreme case, and there's a lot of work that has to be done.
Oh, yeah.
But you can definitely, like a week to 2 weeks is kind of typical for ones that are already pre-built.
Do you think that that's because Rivian is still more up and coming compared to other brands? Like, do you, in your research and your knowledge base, do you think that in, let's say, like 5 years, Rivian is going to be able to keep up with this turnaround time?
Probably not for R2. Kind of similar to how Tesla was when Model 3 was coming out and Model Y was coming out. Like, people were waiting months.
Okay.
So the whole like 1 week to 2 weeks thing is kind of normal for Rivian right now. But for the cheaper models, more people buying them, I think it'll take a lot longer.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's good for any listeners out there who are considering getting R2 and keeping that in mind. Yeah. I will say that for us, we got lucky that we were able to purchase the Rivian at this time and have a turnaround time as quick as it was.
Yeah, no, and talking about the whole process itself, when you do order a Rivian from the shop, pretty much immediately you get connected with a Rivian guide that helps you out through the process so that you get all of your steps done. So with what we did, it was pretty seamless. Like, the guide reaches out to your insurance.
The Rivian guide is a person,
Rivian
not
guide
an
is
AI.
a person. So they'll text you, they'll call you. There's someone just guiding you through the whole process, and everything is on the portal online when you sign into your Rivian account. So it'll tell you what your tasks are. And that would be like, if you're doing a trade-in, you would take pictures of the trade-in vehicle and the odometer, take care of any payments there. So it's all done online, and you have some good help from a Rivian guide, which I think has been super helpful.
Yeah, I think the process overall, so you were the one who dealt with the Rivian guide, which is why I don't really know much about it.
Yeah.
But we both went to the service center in Chelsea to pick up R1S.
Yep.
And I think overall the process was pretty seamless. We were trading in a car, not just picking up a new one.
Yeah.
And there really wasn't much that they needed from us. We brought the car. They asked if we were transferring the plates.
Yep.
They asked if you had the title registration.
Yep.
They needed your license, obviously. Read a few really quick standard forms, which is nice. It's not like they were pages of contracts to read. It was basically just like, yes, I certified this is the vehicle I'm giving over, bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
And the entire process, the paperwork took 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah, it only took like 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah. And then the Rivian, because we had already paid for it before, it was there. It was ready in the bay. They pulled it out for us, and it took a few more minutes for them to transfer our plates. But we stayed and talked to the people at the service center for longer, but we could have been in and out in 20 to 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah. And I think, they know us a little bit. So
yeah,
if you don't already have a Rivian, then they're going to walk you through everything. Since we have a Rivian, they kind of let you go at your own pace and set up your own stuff.
In comparison to picking up R1T to R1S, like you were saying, we are Rivian owners already. So we kind of knew the ins and outs of the vehicle. You more so than me, but again, I've been driving an EV now. So while some of the buttons might be a smidge different in terms of configuration, overall, it was the same thing. But when we picked up R1T, even though you had been driving EV already, they really did walk us through everything. And I think Rivian is good about like one-on-one time.
Yeah.
They definitely make you feel like you are not rushed. They will take as much time as you need to do your pickup, to set you up as a user, to show you how to use the vehicle. I mean, listen, nobody wants to drive off the lot and get into an accident first thing.
Yeah.
So they make sure that you are cared for and understand the ins and outs of the vehicle.
Yeah, and they understand that a lot of people that are getting these vehicles have never had the EV, so they just want to make sure that you feel comfortable and safe taking it off the lot. And I think that they do a really good job of that. So they have that right now. We'll see how that changes as we get closer to R2 and R3, but hopefully they can figure that out.
Yeah, the service center in Chelsea, that's the only one I've ever been to, so I can't speak to any other service centers. But it's a pretty small building.
Yeah, it's not too big.
Which, listen, it's in Chelsea. So if you aren't familiar with Massachusetts or the Boston area, it's like right next to the airport, basically. Yeah. So not a whole lot of land, if you will, which makes sense why the building is smaller.
Yeah.
Parking lot is kind of small, which is interesting when you are maneuvering a larger vehicle in and out. The parking spaces are kind of tight.
Yeah.
It's tucked off from a main road. As with any Massachusetts road, there are a plethora of potholes for you to hit on your way in and out. So it really gives you that full off-roading driving experience there.
Oh yeah, it's an absolutely terrible area to have a service center because they've optimized for the rail transportation of the vehicles, not really the people coming in. And that's why I think they are hoping to have the Canton location open at some point.
Yeah, Canton's nice.
We don't know when, but hopefully that'll be a little bit more customer friendly.
Yeah, you can take your R1S or R1T straight to Topgolf after you pick it up.
Yeah, fantastic.
But what I was going to say about the service center, aside from its size, is because it is a smaller service center, there's really only a few people, at least that we've interacted with in our time there. There's not a floor like when you walk into a standard dealership with a million people walking around, like all trying to, snipe you.
Yeah.
It's very, everyone kind of gets to know you in there. So we've been a couple of times. We've become friendly with several of the people who work there. So I really enjoy going there, especially as a woman. It does not feel like if I ever went there without you, it doesn't feel like I would be taken advantage of in a place like that with services that need to be done to a vehicle.
Exactly, because we've had that issue where you get brakes done and
they'll upsell me on something and they're like, your carburetor. And I'm like, I know that's an English a word. I don't know what it means.
Or like they'll put 2 brakes on and charge you for 4, and then in about a month we'll be like, we just had the brakes
my brake issue.
Yeah,
that was a traumatizing year.
Yeah, we'll never have to deal with that again because everyone in there, they're definitely not trying to get you.
Yeah, and I don't think that's an experience that is specific to us because we've been in a few times. Like I would say that is something that anyone walking into a Rivian service center hopefully feels, whether it's their first time or their 100th time.
Exactly. Everything's standardized there.
Yes. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Like it's standard pricing too, right? Like flat fees.
Yep, flat fees. And you have contact with them in the app when you do bring your car in and you can ask them what's going on. So there's more communication between yourself and the service center than I would say you have with a traditional dealership. I don't know, maybe it's just our generation that's like, can I just send a quick text and they'll eventually get back to me. I don't need to call them. But just what's going on with the vehicle.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that's great. So we were there for the pickup. It wasn't there when we drove in first. We were like, where is it? Where is it?
Yeah.
And they were keeping it inside because it's pollen season.
Oof, it is pollen season. It is the bane of my existence. But yeah, it's also a newer vehicle. So it's nice that like it was kept inside and safe from other drivers out there for as long as possible. It was like a nice, moment, when they bring it out.
They pull it out and it's all clean and shiny and brand new. It looked beautiful.
Oh
when
my
it
God.
was sitting there next to the new Dune R1S.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
the Dune is specific to one of the. Is it a Tri only?
It's a Tri-Max, just special edition.
Like special edition, like a McDonald's Sichuan sauce? Like how long are we talking here?
Like they've made 1,000 of them.
Oh, so like Disney limited edition pins.
Exactly. Like get it before it runs out.
Oh, that's cool.
It's cool.
Is it selling? Do we know?
I don't think it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The color in person looked eggshelly.
Yeah, and the color is the tough part because it seems like a lot of people are ordering them and then they get there in person and they see the color and they're like, oh, that's not really what it looked like online.
Well, with a name like Dune, I'm expecting like lighter brown, like sandstone, if you will.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was eggshelly. I think I equated it to someone's painting a wall and they have like 5 different swatches, or like when we're picking out napkins or tablecloths for the wedding, and it's like, which of these colors? And they're all just slightly different shades of beige or white.
When I looked at the exterior, it looked green. Like there were hints of green.
Okay, well, let's take a minute, right? Because if you have ever played around on like Microsoft Paint with like the CMYK things, you know, like every color is a mixture of other colors, right? So I'm sure there is just a smidge more green in there, but it was a very sunny day yesterday. Shout out to New England for having great weather.
Yeah, first day in forever.
And it's not going to happen for like another 3 weeks because we're still in like second winter here.
Yeah.
But it definitely glinted green in the light.
Yeah, I think it's going to look slightly different depending on if the sun is out or the clouds are out.
But we can say that about the El Cap.
That's true. When we first saw the El Cap, I was like, did they give us a storm blue?
Yeah, it glints more blue in the light, which is totally fine. I don't mind it. I still think it's a beautiful color, and
I love it.
Very happy with the choice we made.
Yeah.
But, you know, if blue's not your favorite color, then I guess just something to keep in mind for El Cap. Just live in, I don't know, Oregon, where it rains, Seattle.
Well, there's kind of there is a little bit of a joke online that all the colors are just different shades of gray.
Well, I mean
it's not wrong.
It's not wrong. It's
like different hints of blue in it. So, I mean, it is kind of crazy to be like, did we get the right color?
It took me a minute to figure that out, but I didn't see a storm blue vehicle there. I feel like if I had seen a storm blue and been looking at our El Cap, I would have been able to see a more distinct difference.
Yeah. They didn't have any like right next to us. We were next to the Rivian blue.
I was gonna say we were next to another blue, and that is blue.
That is
like you know that commercial where they see the blue hair and they're blue. That's what it was. It's a beautiful blue.
Oh yeah.
But distinctly different than what I'm presuming storm blue would have looked like.
So yeah, if I mean, I just personally, I would have never ordered a Dune edition just because I'm not a tan kind of vehicle guy.
Okay, I was like, you're literally wearing a beige shirt right now.
Yeah, like I'll wear it.
Well, you finished it up with, I'm not a tan car guy. It was the car.
I would rather have something like a dark gray or green, but not this green.
Not the Rivian green or not the green
Dune
you're currently...
green.
Oh, Dune green.
That's what I'm calling it now in my head. The Dune green.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it is a really pretty color. It's just not for me.
It is a more outdoorsy... I don't think outdoorsy is the word I'm looking for. It felt more like an adventure vehicle. The Dune color.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, listen, you're calling it Dune.
I would say that it screamed California Dune.
Wow. You're not even a father and you're making dad jokes. That is wild. Yeah, no, it's fair though. Like California Dune is a name that makes sense for the color, despite the fact that I still think it should be called sandstone.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement there.
Yeah. I like the El Cap.
You know what the best part of that vehicle was though?
The wheels?
The rims.
The wheels were really cool.
They're awesome.
I don't know. Are those also specific
Limited
to
edition.
the Dune. So
Yeah.
you can't get those vehicles on any other Rivian vehicle.
No, and we saw the ones that were I guess I would consider them the black version or the dark version, but they also have the same rim just to be the same color as the paint. So it's a color match.
Oh, that's cool that they're thinking about that.
But the black ones are really cool.
Yeah.
Please, Rivian, put them on sale so that I can buy them and make them my winter rim. I just really want those for winter tires. That would be awesome.
I like them.
And I know that they'll be like $8,000, but I'll take out a loan.
Yeah, like we don't have enough student loan debt.
You only need one kidney.
I thought you were going to say you only need one kid.
Well, we don't have any. So.
We have a fur son.
Yeah, we do. Everyone knows Arlo.
Aw,
Yeah.
little buddy.
Yeah, he's the best.
He is.
But overall, it is a really good deal for a Dune. How'd you feel about the interior?
Of the Dune?
Yeah.
So I didn't go in the vehicle like you did. I was just,
You're a Chan.
yeah, like Dear Evan Hansen, I was waving through a window.
Yeah.
Okay, the dual colored seats,
Yep.
from what I remember, it was a long day yesterday.
Yeah.
Mainly my allergies killing me. There was black on the top.
Black top.
Yep, and then lighter leather.
Like a white cream.
Cream, yeah.
It's a cream.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my memory is serving me well.
Yeah. It is the sandstone.
The sandstone.
Yeah.
I personally did not love the two-tone,
Okay.
but I am also very preferential right now to the Ocean Coast and Driftwood.
Yes.
So there is a lot of bias going on with this comment because that is the one we have. I really love it. That is why we got the Tri-Motor for that interior.
So it's pretty easy to say that if you could have swapped
Oh, no.
that out, you're keeping Ocean Coast.
Oh, hands down keeping. No, I'll tell you what I'm swapping out.
What?
It's the plaid floor mats. I'm not a plaid person. It's just, I don't know.
Which we are. We're taking those
we
out.
are. I know a lot of people love them. And I will say today when we were driving, because the weather's still kind of nice, I was in flip-flops and I slipped them off and it was nice to have a little rug to like squish my toes in.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the plaid detracts for me from the Ocean Coast and Driftwood.
I know. I mean, how often am I really looking down at my feet?
No, like hopefully never as you're driving because that's
hopefully.
problematic.
That would be an issue.
No, I wouldn't switch my interior for the dual, but I can understand why people like it. It's very different from anything cars usually have.
Yeah, I think it's very unique.
It works for the Dune, I will say.
Yes.
It makes sense overall, aesthetically.
Yeah, definitely. I think it really is a nice accent to what's going on with the rest of the vehicle.
You said it was more affordable.
Well, the deal for the Dune is actually really good because if you were going to price out a similar optioned R1S or R1T at Trimax level, because you get certain things with it, like the crossbars, which are usually $800, and then you get recovery boards, so that if you get stuck in sand, you can get out.
I feel like that should just be a gift when you live in New England for snow.
Yeah, I mean, it would
Note to Rivian.
It would be useful to have those, like maybe a snow
So
edition.
you don't have to like pour kitty litter behind your wheels.
Like I get that everyone is in California with their Rivians, but we are also here on the East Coast.
We can all be lucky to just live in beautiful summer with palm trees year round. Some of us were cursed and grew up in New England and decided not to leave.
So like special edition snowboards. Vehicles, like let's do it.
Yeah.
Like come on.
Come on.
Recovery boards.
Yeah.
I just want to put them on my car to look cool. That's really all I want.
Okay, but I interrupted you. So go back to what makes Dune such a great deal.
That was it.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, just the limited edition, all the accessories that you get with it.
And limited editions usually, in my experience, are more expensive.
They should hold their value better because there's only a certain amount of them. The only other difference in that vehicle with the two-tone is that the headliner is dark, whereas in any of the other R1Ts or R1Ss, if you get Ocean Coast, it's a white headliner. Would you change that?
No.
No?
If I am concerned about like spilling my coffee, it's going down. It's not going up.
Yeah.
Listen, if I'm throwing my coffee in the air, something must have seriously spooked me, right? Like,
Yeah.
so no, I like the white headliner and I'm not concerned about it getting dirty.
Yeah, I agree. I actually really like the white headliner. It makes everything look bigger.
I was just going to say, that's your argument for like not painting walls dark, right? Is lighter walls make a room look bigger.
Exactly.
So
when you paint something dark, everything looks smaller or just more enclosed. So just having the bright headliner, I think definitely makes the car just feel roomier, and I don't know, it makes me happier. All right, so we got our R1S.
we got our R1S.
We got your R1S.
Yes. We got my R1S. So again, pickup process, pretty seamless. In terms of like setting up a user, I think it's decently easy to do so. I will say that the seat configuration and wheel configuration is nice. And I think Tesla is similar. There's a lot of ability to move these things. Rather than in like my Hyundai Elantra, it's the slider bar under the seat that you just can go back and forth, and you can go up and down to a certain extent by like pumping the side bar, but it is not as movable as these other vehicles, these newer vehicles, which again, the caveat is I was in a 2016 Hyundai Elantra, so there's a likelihood that the newer ones are better.
Yeah, I mean, with low tech in it, so it's very just manual, and some people love that, but some people don't.
Again, as somebody who's shorter, it's nice to have the ability to like move my steering wheel as much. And I'm not sure if I've found the position I'm most comfortable in yet. I feel like it's definitely going to take me a few times driving to really settle into it, which I will say right now, here and now, I know last week we said we'll talk about the name I'm thinking of for the vehicle. I got nothing right now. I've driven it once. So stay tuned. That's still coming. We will have a naming ceremony.
Yes.
No, I feel like I have a good configuration right now for my seat and my wheel. It might change, but the seats are so comfortable.
I mean, it's dark and ominous.
It's dark. Oh, you want a dark and ominous. I really liked sitting in the driver's seat and also the passenger seat, because you've done a lot of driving in it the last day and a half.
We'll get to when we took a little trip just for Easter Sunday, but I think overall, the build itself was really good. Just taking a look around the car, there wasn't anything that was glaring that we needed the service center to take care of right away. As far as like panel gapping or issues with doors. I know that's not even on your radar, and that's okay.
No, the words panel gapping is not what's on my radar. I don't even...
You don't know what that is?
Nope.
Do you want to know?
Yeah.
So basically, and this, I feel like this really started with Tesla because build quality was an issue early on.
Sure.
Where if you're looking at the vehicle and the panels where they meet, there should be a standard distance between panels. So if it's too big, then they're not correctly aligned. If they're too close and touching, then they can damage each other.
Makes sense.
Especially if it's a door that's moving.
Makes sense.
So I feel like people are a little bit more picky about those things, and they'll note them so that the service center can take care of them.
Okay. Well, that's good that you didn't see that on the R1S, because I'm not looking for it.
Exactly. So that's, I mean, and there are a lot of checklists out there that people will send to people.
Oh, okay.
That they can, look at each spot, especially if there's something that's common to be wrong with the vehicle. And they can look at those more specific cases just to make sure.
Did you look at a checklist when you were like going for your R1T?
I did for the R1T because I didn't know as much about it. With the Tesla, I knew more. Okay. So that one I didn't really take anything with me, but for the R1S, like I looked at it pretty heavily.
The R1T, you mean?
I mean R1T, yeah.
Okay, so note to people that there are checklists out there. That's good. I love checklists.
Yeah, and if I can find one, I'll put it in the show notes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, we can put it in the show notes so that people have them. Because it's always good to look before you actually sign off on a vehicle. Just
be an informed buyer.
Exactly. You don't want to take something home and be like, oh, that was broken before I purchased it, because technically, like, you signed off on it.
Yeah, and obviously, like, Rivian, I will say, is an expensive vehicle, whether it is the R1S or the R1T.
Yeah.
I know that R2 is going to be less expensive because it's not the flagship models.
Yeah.
But in general, like, I don't care how expensive a vehicle is, you should always, with anything, be an informed buyer. So
Yeah, exactly.
That's good that there weren't glaring issues.
Yeah, there were no glaring issues until we drove it.
Okay, well, let's again calm down there. So I was the one who drove it off the lot because I said, this is my vehicle. I want to be the first one to drive it.
Which is totally fair.
Totally fair. We drove it off the lot.
Yeah.
No issues.
Yeah, we drove for how long? Like
20 minutes?
Yeah, 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
We drove to a brewery.
We were going to a brewery, just like a nice little warm weather activity. We drove on the bridge. We drove through the tunnels, hit some potholes as to be expected. Like, everything was fine.
Yep.
We were on the highway, and I was in, I think, the second lane from the left.
Yep.
So I don't remember if there were 2 or 3 lanes. And there was like a small bump that I went over. And all of a sudden, it was like we were in a 90s movie with the bass blaring, and our car was just bumping up and down.
Yeah, bouncing like the front end wanted to just lift off the ground.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on right now? Like, I know this isn't normal, but like, I don't think I did anything.
No, yeah.
And you were like, let's pull over, let's figure this out. And we were, I think, like 3 minutes from the brewery. So I said, okay, let's just get there. But every bump, every consequent bump that we went over, big or small, it was like we were going to get bucked off that vehicle like we were in a bar where you're riding that mechanical bull. Yep. That is what it felt like.
Up, down, like they're
up, down, like I could have gotten motion sickness.
Oh, I was getting motion sickness.
I mean, you also don't like being the passenger because you're more prone to a little motion sickness.
Yeah.
So we park at the brewery, and the first thing we did was check the settings.
Yep.
And can you explain, because I still don't fully understand, like the soft, moderate, and firm ride feel?
Oh yeah, so you can change, because it's on air suspension, you can change what the ride feel feels like. So if you want a more firm feel for a sportier like drive,
okay,
then you can keep it in that. We usually keep it on soft because that's going to be the most comfortable ride.
Okay, because I would think soft is more bouncy.
I guess you could technically say it is more bouncy. It absorbs better.
Okay, so like smoother bounces, if you will.
Smoother, yeah. It's supposed to ride like you're riding a cloud.
Which, it is a smooth ride in the R1S.
It is, when it's working.
Spoiler alert, we got everything fixed, and it is probably the smoothest ride I've ever experienced in a vehicle. But
yes,
you had it set to soft, so that wasn't the issue.
Soft, it was in low because we were just on auto ride height.
But we couldn't change that, and that's the first sign of the issue.
Yeah, that was the first sign. And then when I looked at the screen, we also had
the driver dash, like the one behind the wheel.
Yeah, the driver screen. We had multiple emergency lights on saying that, the suspension needs to be worked on.
Yeah, like we were collecting alerts like they were Thanos' Infinity Stones.
Exactly.
It was a little concerning.
Yeah, so as we were trying to workshop it, the first thing that we did was we did a hard reset by holding the left side of the steering wheel and holding the hazard light just to see if that would fix it. Maybe there was a bug, but that didn't do anything. So we basically called the service center and just let them know, we're going to come back. We're having some issues with the suspension. And we drove 30 minutes like we were flying on Aladdin's magic carpet.
Yeah, we're going back to my DCP.
Up, down.
Yeah.
And getting into Chelsea, Massachusetts, not the smoothest ride.
As we've said before, lots of potholes in the area.
Yeah, driving past cops, thinking, did we put some aftermarket stuff on this vehicle?
When the cop was behind us, I was like, please, sir, please don't pull us over. Yeah. We didn't modify this. We know we look ridiculous, I'm sure. Like, we're 4 minutes away. Please just let us get there. He didn't pull us over. But
no. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there was one bump where I think we might have
gotten
a
air.
little bit of air.
Oh, 100%.
And I was driving so slow.
Yes.
But yeah. So we were basically going up against the endpoint of the suspension. So we get back to the service center and they look at the vehicle and they're like, we think we know what it is. It looks like there might have been just a disconnect to the air suspension. It should be able to be fixed pretty quickly.
I will say, again, as I am sure over the last 2 episodes now, I've made it quite clear I know nothing about vehicles.
Yeah.
When I looked at the front tires,
Yeah.
obviously there is supposed to be distance between the tire and the body of the vehicle itself.
Yeah.
And there was none. It was like the vehicle was resting on the front tires.
Yep.
So it was very clear from my very limited knowledge and perspective that there was something that needed to be fixed about this car.
Exactly, because the rear wheels were still in
Yes,
the normal position.
Correct. So we were tilted forward.
Yeah.
Like Godspeed Titanic.
Which like looks cool from the outside.
Sure.
Doesn't
Didn't
ride
feel cool. 0 out of 10.
So basically what happens, we take it back to the service center and they immediately bring it back in. Luckily, it was a Saturday before
Easter.
Yeah. Things were pretty quiet and we're not near the end of a quarter. So, usually we're pushing sales at that time. So there weren't many people picking up. I think they only had
3, I
like
think.
3 or 4.
Yeah. So we did hit it at a good point where they were able to dedicate time to fix it.
And how long were we there for while they fixed it?
30 minutes?
Yeah, like 30 minutes. And then they were like, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So we drove back to the brewery and this time I drove just in case.
Yep.
And we made it. Everything's been smooth sailing so far on the suspension. So we'll keep you updated if there's any differences on that.
Have you heard other people with that issue? Have you ever seen online that people have experienced this?
No, I mean, not really. I've heard of people having like a leaking air suspension where it just sounds off when the vehicle goes up and down. But not to my recollection.
I think it's really important to note a couple of things about this experience.
Yep.
Number one, I'm very grateful you were in the car with me because I would have panicked so hard if you hadn't been there.
Yeah.
Especially being a new vehicle and a company that I'm not as familiar with. Not that I was familiar with Tesla either, but still being new to the EV space, I absolutely would have thought I did something wrong and lost my mind. But the most important thing I think to take from this is how lucky we are as consumers that we are very close to a service center. We live about 25 minutes from the Chelsea one.
Yeah.
And the Canton one, if and when that opens, we're 40 minutes from Canton? 45?
Yeah, probably like 35, 40.
Okay, sure. So still under
on
an
a good
hour.
day. Yeah.
That is not the case for many, many people.
Yeah, for a lot of people. And
we met a guy yesterday at the service center who had come from Sugarloaf, which is up in Maine.
Yeah, that's like a 4-hour
4 hours,
drive?
I think he said. Yeah. So
that's the biggest issue, I think. Going forward, as more people get these vehicles and as R2 launches, people are not going to feel comfortable with purchasing a vehicle if they're not close enough to somewhere that can service the vehicle.
Which is fair.
Right now, Rivian has the hardcore fans that they're willing to take that risk, and if they have to go a few hours, they will. But my mom, your mom, they're not going to be willing to travel 4 hours.
My mom doesn't want to drive to Newport.
Yeah, and that's how far away?
30 minutes.
Yeah, she
Granted, there's a bridge, but
regular consumers are not going to want to go that far. So it's important that they either...
It's inaccessible.
Yes, it's important that they either continue opening a lot more service centers or they open up third-party services that can take in Rivians.
Oh, okay. So Jiffy Lube, I can go and get my oil changed.
Yeah, somewhere that they are Rivian certified to take care of your vehicle.
I see what you're saying.
The beauty about Rivian in any software integrated vehicle is that they can do a lot of the diagnostics from the phone and from remote locations. So that's a good thing. But if there is an issue and you need to bring it in, you have to bring it in. There's no other way.
Right.
They could send the mobile service to you, but you know, sometimes that's not going to help with your issue.
Well, even mobile service, is there a mileage cap on that? Like, would they send someone from Chelsea up to Maine?
If they, I mean,
Depending on the issue?
depending, like my friend in Maui, like he had a service guy come to him
From Oahu.
they had to ship him over, and
Whoa.
yeah, so like, and he's in the most remote area of Maui.
Like
and
Hana?
He's in Hana.
Whoa. Yeah, you're not joking then about the remoteness
So like
of that.
if they have to, they have to.
Okay, well, listen, kudos to you, Rivian, for getting the job done when you need to. But please make more service centers. So,
Yeah, they
so
have to.
both you as the brand and us as the consumers don't have to go out of our way to get this done.
Or else people in more remote areas will not purchase the vehicles, even if they are $45,000.
Which is still an inaccessible price point for a lot of people. I do want to acknowledge that.
Yeah, it really is. And I understand, like, if you look at the statistics, the average car price is, I think it is $45,000. But
that's for a new car. A lot of people don't buy new vehicles.
no.
So, and that's the other thing. Like, all of what we're saying is, again, with the acknowledgement that Rivian still is a newer up-and-coming company. So, like, if we were having this conversation 5 years from now, the service center issue might not be an issue.
Yeah.
You know, the price point might not be an issue.
Yeah.
So this is just because it is where it is in its company timeline.
Yeah. With you not really being a car person, what price point do you think EVs should start at in order to get mass adoption?
That's a good question. And I don't, EVs, I personally don't think it's an issue if they start a little more expensive, because I think they are more of an investment in the long term, especially like software being updated is really nice, that you don't have to go in and get things changed always. I think the premise of an EV, right? Like, you're saving so much on gas.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like 25?
Yeah, I think there's kind of a common consensus of like they need to be $20,000 vehicles,
Yeah,
and that's
20s.
when like mass adoption will happen.
The Tesla Model 3, how expensive is that? Like a 45?
Yeah, like brand new, it's like 35, 40.
Okay. And R2 is going to be around that price
R2's
point?
starting at 45, but you have to
Starting.
understand the Apple ladder of marketing. So it's like, oh, well, you want this edition?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to go up one. Oh,
Right.
you want that?
Like, you want these
have to go
wheels, this
up
color.
one.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Again, 20, 25, 30, 35, still a lot of money.
Yes.
But for mass appeal,
Yeah.
that definitely seems like it would be a more reasonable number. Like,
Yeah.
R1S is very inaccessible.
So starting price for a Model 3 is $42,000.
Jeez.
You get the tax incentive, $34,000.
I know that R2, there's a lot of people who will prefer that because of the price point. So hopefully, if and when that launches next year, that will be a more widely seen vehicle on the road. Because like when we were driving today to your mom's, we drive through like the top of Connecticut kind of. And that's not like one of the more populated areas.
Yeah.
Well, I guess getting into Worcester, definitely. But like the other surrounding towns are not super city-like.
Yeah.
And we saw one Rivian on the entire drive both ways. 2.
Yeah, maybe 2. And they're
Yeah.
usually closer to Boston area. Yeah, that's still kind of no man's land for EVs right now.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely more Teslas that we saw, but they've been around a lot longer.
Yeah.
And again, price point wise, better.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't really compare R1S or R1T to a Model 3 or Model Y because
it'd
the
be a
price
Model
point.
S, right?
Yeah, you'd have to base it off of a Model S or a Model X. As far as the drive going down to my mom's for Easter, we were able to use the highway assist a decent amount and the hands-free driver's assist. So I was the one driving, and at first it was nice. For the most part, the roads that we drive, you can use the driving assist.
It's a lot of highway.
A lot of highway and major highways like I-90, 93.
Yeah.
So like it is mapped and you can use it. I think the most frustrating part for me with the hands-free assist is that there would be random parts of like I-90 that it would kick me off of it and be like, it's not available here. And then like 3 to 5 minutes later, it would kick back on. So it kept going back and forth. You'd hear like the dings over the speaker. But overall, it seemed to work really well. And my biggest takeaway is that I don't feel like it's much different than what we had before.
Well, I mean, that's good though, right? Because there won't be a learning curve for you when you switch cars back and forth.
No, I know, but like, it doesn't seem like the hands-free...
Oh, it doesn't add anything, you're saying.
Yeah, it doesn't add anything.
Okay.
Like,
yeah,
instead of my hand resting on the bottom of the wheel, it rests on my lap. Yeah, I can dance.
You can hold my hand.
Oh.
That's okay. You can sound more enthused when we cut that again. Okay, ready? 3, 2. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I think that that's valid. Are there other things that you have noticed in the last day driving that are better, same, or I don't want to say necessarily worse, but like different than R1T?
I think it's a little bit easier to maneuver, the R1S.
Oh, it's smaller.
It's a little bit smaller. So like parking it is a little bit easier. I think overall it is a quieter cabin.
It is quiet.
It's very quiet. I think the difference of having the street tires versus the all-terrain tires is also just a little bit smoother.
Yeah, that's not something I would even think about.
Yeah, so just having the normal tires on this one makes it ride smoother and softer.
Yeah, it was so smooth.
Yeah, we haven't driven at night, so I haven't really gotten to see the adaptive headlights too much. But I know when we did our demo drive, like that was cool, and I think that's
they worked.
Honestly, it's useful for us and useful for other people on the road.
My seat heated up really nice today.
The seats were so comfortable.
Yeah, you were using the AC in the seat, and at one point you were like, I'm way too cold, I gotta turn it off. So I guess that's good, it's strong.
Yeah, my butt was frozen. So yeah, no, I mean, I think the seats of the Ascend package, which comes in all the Tri-Max, I think they're nicer.
Yeah.
I think they're just more comfortable.
Which, again, personal preference, but I definitely like this cushiony feel.
Yeah, the cushiony feel is nice. I think that the ones in the R1T have definitely softened a little bit over time.
Oh, it's like any couch that you sit on or mattress.
Yeah, it starts to get a little bit more comfortable. I will back up some things that I used to say of like, the R1T's cameras are fine. They're good. Like, I don't really need the nicer cameras. But
yes, the R1S cameras, and I think I said this last week, they are impeccable, right? I joked about like doing a professional headshot in them.
Yeah, they look really good.
They're really good.
Like, so good that they look fake.
Yes. Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
I'm excited to drive it now this week because, again, my role in our relationship is passenger princess usually when we're driving together. Yeah. So now that I'm going to be driving into Boston over the next few days and just running some errands out and about, like I will start getting used to it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it. I think that there are going to be some nerves just with any new vehicle.
Yeah.
Because you should have some healthy apprehension, like, I don't want to mess this up first day I'm driving it, right? But no, overall, it's feelings of excitement to have this and to honestly be higher up. I think that is probably what I'm going to appreciate the most is just as somebody who's shorter, having that height in a vehicle definitely does make me feel a little more safe and secure.
Yeah, and at night you won't have like everyone's high beams in your face.
My gosh, yeah. Yeah, the adaptive headlights also, I'm really excited for that at night as well, to not even have to think about it. So obviously we will continue to give updates
I'm
as
excited.
you and I each drive it a lot more.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how you feel with driving into the city because
Parking in the garage and whatnot.
yeah, it's not the smallest vehicle for a city, but I think it's more manageable than a lot of other vehicles out there.
Chevy Suburban looking at
Chevy
you.
Suburban life.
Whoop, whoop. Listen, I drove a Suburban once and it was a wild experience. I felt like a cruise director,
Yeah.
but I felt very important driving it. I will
Shout
say
out
that.
Tom Suburbs.
Tom Suburbs.
Yeah, Tom Suburbs on Twitter because it's still Twitter to me. He just loves Suburbans, but he has an R1S. And he's waiting for that EV Suburban. So shout out to him.
Do you think that Chevy's going to make an EV Suburban?
I think eventually they're gonna have to. But yeah, shout out Tom Suburbs.
That's a funny name. I like that.
Yeah.
But yes,
Right.
I think this upcoming week will be a big one for us in terms of both of us being able to drive the vehicle more daytime and nighttime to get a better feel for it and have hopefully some more updates next week. So once again, thank you so much for getting into bed with us. Hope you've been cozy for the last hour or so. I know I have.
Yeah. And remember, adventure is always out there.